So there's a reason that I prefer to create a backup of my save files whenever possible when I'm doing recording things, and that reason is that sometimes things go wrong, and the video, the recording, whatever the audio ends up no good, and I'll fight these things, and I would like to redo progress, and that's the long and somewhat gentle way of saying that that's what happened now. I lost about 3 hours of recording.
Hey.
For reasons that basically boil down to I forgot to start the recording, which is fun. So I've got to redo that. I don't know, I think every single Bravely Default game that I've played on YouTube has had that happen. It's rather annoying. I'm just gonna start hitting these things with things and see if they die quickly. It was admittedly mostly cutscene, not like gameplay difficult fights or anything like that that I have to recover. But several side quests in the beginning of like the next important story dungeon I'm going to have to redo here, and I'm surprised that I didn't get into an additional encounter with that wolf thing so close by. What's the okay? So this quest is I have to defeat some lop-eared babbits, and I guess I just have to go and find a couple more. I'm not going to try and retrace my steps exactly. For example, I have Elvis set to the Beastmaster apparently, and I'm not going to that is not a babbit. I am not going to attempt to like do everything that I did with Elvis as the Beastmaster in the Lost Recording and catch every single of the same monsters so that when I transition back to doing this properly blind, it's like seamless, but we'll see what we can do. I need, okay, when I hold down the what is that, the right bumper, there's the story quest, and I'm gonna go to the dungeon. I'm going to go into the woods first. Oh, cool, that's a babbit. That is that quest. I have hopefully been, like, I've hopefully become somewhat more familiar with this game, since the last time I played, and hopefully, like, I won't actually have to redo 3 hours of recording. Maybe I can get through this in 2. I would like to not be poisoned on 2 of my characters, though, and, go back to town to heal. There is just a treasure chest sitting in the grass here. Where is town? That is 1,300 pigs. If I... Oh, okay, right here. Good. So as I was saying, I'm going to go to the other dungeon out in the woods over in that direction before I go and do the thing in town. Assuming, I don't think it's an A or B choice. I think it's just choose which one you want to do first. But let's see. I think I can also turn in a quest in here. Yeah, I can turn in the red one after I go back to heal. And let's see, what else is there? There is the boy who is out for revenge against the rabbits. I also need to... And I don't think I said this at any point that wasn't in, like, the misrecording. And I've been saying a couple times that the Belle of the Ball quest with the rock feathers, I think I have to go somewhere where I haven't been yet. And that is patently not true. I just have to go through that pass between Helstrona and Savalon, and they're in there. And I don't know why I didn't realize that, like, immediately, but regardless, I'll be doing that. You were hoping to cast them as pets. The only problem is that they're, like, bigger than you actually are, and those animals tend to not make great pets. Alright, well, you're gonna give me a card drink for that, which is a bit generous for something that basically boils down to beating up a rabbit, but regardless. I am going to... I guess the fastest way to get there is probably via Savalon, so I'm gonna go fast travel to Savalon and just go through the pass. And try to pick up some rock feathers. I'm trying to think of some of the things that I talked about that weren't directly related to the game that I talked about. And hi, you are a disgrace to your profession. You foolishly forgot your tools at Bernard's mansion. The extravagance of that place distracted me so thoroughly that I left them where they lay. So that is a fetch quest. I will go do that. I'm gonna go do that now, because that's just a little bit off in this direction. Bernard's mansion, I believe, is basically due east from Savalon. Some of the other things I talked about, like game design things that I liked or didn't like about this game so far, and I do still have the audio for that, the commentary audio for that recording. I just don't have the game video, which is kind of a big part of it. So I guess I could go through and like scrub through that and see if there's anything else I wanted to specifically bring up, but we'll see if I remember as it comes up. in this game. So I still cannot believe this treasure chest was not a mimic or some other sort of ambush. It looks like the quest marker is just pointing a little bit. Yeah, in this room. It's not too far into the mansion. What you were doing here in the first place, I do not know. But anyway, that's the tradesman's tools. I could waste a teleport stone or something if I wanted to get out of here quickly, but we're right by the entrance. And the amount of time that it's going to take me to run back probably pales in comparison to things like the loading screens. But regardless. Alright, let's go back to that guy. That shouldn't take long. I forget if he wants me to do anything else. This is sort of where the definition of a blind Let's Play sort of breaks down, because I've obviously done this before. Which is one of the many reasons I hate it when recordings end up not coming out good, for one reason or another. But, it has actually been almost a month since I played this game due to not so much like demotivation to record as you might expect due to having a recording get lost, but just time and having to do other things. It is currently like the beginning of April, and the crap guide April's Fool's joke that I did ended up taking up like 2 entire weeks of my life, and that was a little bit more than I expected. And time that I wasn't doing other things. That's it. I don't have to do anything else. There might be more in town. I'm gonna go do the rock feathers first. There might be more side quests popping up in town, but let me just go fight some birds that aren't actually that giant, as you might expect from something called a rock, real quick. They're not too hard to deal with. Hopefully, they weren't too hard to deal with back like 20 videos ago, and I hope they're not now. Alright. Finding them, though, and getting them to spawn could be a bit of a job. 1 out of 3. 2 out of 3. Adele is now a level 12 white mage, by the way. I'm not going to put too much thought into that. I'm not going to make too big of a deal out of changing her job class, because, again, this is a recovery recording, and I don't want to lose too much time doing that. We'll be switching her back to new things soon enough, regardless, in a couple of videos once I return to my my future self or past self or whatever it is. This whole thing makes the passage of time weird. And that is 3 out of 3, so I think I'm fairly close to the beginning of the dungeon now. I just basically ran through it in a straight line. There's another one, but I don't really need to deal with another one. So I think I can just run back to Alshona now. So this I specifically remember as something that I was complaining about, unfortunately. And this is the design of the beginning of these dungeons and some of the like transitions back into the world. This, where I spawn now, is extremely unclear about whether I have to go like forward to go back into the dungeon or back or down, like up or down on the screen. I just went through the door again. And this has tripped me up many times, both on recording and off so far. But this just drives me crazy. There have been several dungeons that fall victim to this. There's no indication as to which way leads back into the cave and which leads out onto the overworld. You could make the argument that if you were to look at the map, you would see that the player head, the arrowhead, is pointing outwards, so that if I were to take steps forward relative to where my party is right now, I would go back out onto the overworld, and yes, you would technically be correct. I am going to, as another game designer, make the argument that I should not have to do that. There should be better, like, more clear visual indication as to which way is which right here when I spawn at the entrance to the cave. There should be, like, rocks, boulders, something like that inside the dungeon. Like, on the side that goes inside, there should be alternatively, preferably both, something like more plant life on the outside that would tell me that this is where, like, open fields are. Again, there's a little bit of grass. There's not that much. There's not enough that I would say one is clearly leading back onto the overworld and one is clearly leading back onto the dungeon. Inside dungeons, I've complained about, like, signposting as well, like not having it made clear which path is which path is onwards, which path leads out onto the overworld again, and This is just a fairly consistent complaint that I have about this game. And for all the other, like, amazing visual choices that the Bravely Default makes, and this game as well, and also Bravely Default as a whole, as a franchise, it's a shame that simple things like that cause me so much grief. It wasn't a problem in the 3DS Bravely games simply due to the fact that the camera was fixed, and it never rotated. You couldn't rotate the camera, and if you emerged from a cave, like facing this direction or something, you knew that if you were to walk back through the cave, through the little doorway, that was back into the cave.
Hey.
A simpler overworld camera system, basically, is what that boiled down to. Basically, you always would enter a cave from the up direction. And this was never a problem, but this game just continues to mess with my head in that respect. Alright,
Hey.
Happier things. They're perfect, they're brighter and more beautiful than I had even hoped. They'll make for a truly head-turning gown. Now I just have to have it made. Would you be so kind to deliver it to the tailor? I've heard tell of an absolute miracle worker somewhere in Savalon. Seek him out and ask him to get started. Alright. We are updating our quest, and I'm going to hop on over to Savalon. Thank God for fast travel. I should probably put more water in this glass that's in front of me that I just drained, because I like to have water on hand when I record things, for obvious reasons. Anyway, Savalon. I do not remember if there are more side quests that appear in Savalon. Now that I'm in Wiswald. If there are, I'll do them. I do seem to remember that, if I can just let the camera zoom out a moment, I do seem to remember that there's something to do with Anihal, which is relevant. Oh, I have to hit the right stick. Yeah, there are 2 more. Alright, the equipment guy has more equipment. I don't really care about that right now. I'm going to run over here and turn this one in first. Really need to go get some water. You wish me to make a gown using the tail feathers of a rock. That will be easier said than done, my friend. That sentence is hilarious to say out loud if you don't realize that an ROC is a bird. But I enjoy a challenge. I am not known as the miracle worker of Savalon for nothing. Ellipses. There, my finest piece of work to date. If the person who placed the order is not pleased with this, I will eat my hat.